You think you booked a bargain, then the final invoice arrives and your vacation fund has leaked away in tiny fees and footnotes. Seniors are hit hardest. Automatic service charges, included credits with strings, per-day resort levies and small surcharges quietly double a trip's real price. In this video I'll show 3 fast checks you can run in 5 minutes to reveal the true out-the-door cost, 1 short phrase that forces clear fee disclosure, and a simple checklist you can screenshot before you pay. Theo used these moves and stopped losing hundreds on every getaway, not because she's lucky, but because she learned to ask the right questions. This is Senior Travel Adventures, practical tips for travelers 60+. Tap like now so your friends don't get blindsided, and subscribe to get the next short tool that protects your wallet and your peace of mind. Stay with me. The first check is so simple you can do it the moment you pause the video, and it often saves more than the video's length in dollars. Meet Theodora Theo Malo, 72, a woman whose life taught her to notice small details. She retired after decades of steady work and finally booked the trip she'd postponed for years, a 7-night Caribbean cruise with day trips and long, slow mornings. Theo values clarity. She makes lists, carries receipts, and prefers to know the full cost before she hands over her card. That habit saved her from many mistakes in life, but not these. In the week before departure, a brief email arrived, additional service charge applied to your cabin. She assumed it was an administrative error. On board, minor fees began to surface. A mandatory gratuity added to every bill, a complimentary voucher that required an upfront spend to redeem, unexpected port taxes, and a daily amenity charge on the cabin tab. Each item seemed small. Each item alone was easy to accept. Together, they changed the math of her holiday. Theo watched her vacation fund shrink in tiny, precise increments, the kind that slipped past even the most careful eyes. Rather than surrender, Theo treated the experience like any other investigation from her previous career. She recorded each extra charge, photographed contract language, and asked the cruise desk for written clarifications. By the voyage's end she had mapped 5 specific pitfalls that repeated across bookings: misleading headline fares, bundled cruise perks with strings attached, insurance timing gaps, loyalty program blind spots, and micro-expenses that compound daily. Those were the leaks that turned enjoyment into regret. What changed after that trip wasn't Theo's appetite for travel, but her approach. She built a compact folder with pre-booking questions, a short script to demand fee disclosure, and a tiny ledger to track microspend each day. Traveling with those tools restored not only her budget but her peace of mind. Her story is not an extreme one, it's a common pattern that any senior can recognize and stop. She now travels with calm. 1. The illusion of the discount fare. Theo had always been proud of her budgeting skills. When she saw the bright banner flash across her laptop screen, Senior Saver Fare, exclusive discount for travelers over 60, she felt that small thrill only lifelong savers know. It was validation, a reward for all the years she'd chosen prudence over impulse. The ad promised comfort, priority service, and peace of mind at a reduced rate. For Theo, it looked like the perfect start to her dream Caribbean journey. But what looked like a bargain unraveled the moment she clicked confirm. The base fare appeared smaller, yes, but the following morning her email inbox was cluttered with optional add-ons, a seat selection fee, to ensure comfort, a priority boarding charge, for stress-free travel, and even a special assistance handling surcharge, something she never requested. By the time she added baggage and taxes, the total cost quietly surpassed the standard economy fare she'd originally ignored. It wasn't fraud. It was something far more subtle, a marketing mirage. Airlines know seniors value convenience, so they craft fares that appear caring, yet carve away essentials that once came standard. The term discount is often a decoy, a law designed to shift attention from the fine print. Theo realized that what she'd gained in label, she'd lost in substance. Her so-called senior saver was simply the regular ticket, stripped of inclusions and dressed up in empathy. She remembered her late husband's advice: if a price looks neat and tidy, check what's missing. Those words echoed now as she sat at her kitchen table, calculator in hand, comparing her discount fare to a regular online listing. The difference? About $42, more for the senior version. It felt like betrayal wrapped in kindness. Theo began documenting every charge. She called customer service, only to be told with syrupy politeness that each add-on enhances your comfort. The irony stung. It wasn't comfort she wanted, it was honesty. That night, she opened a new browser in incognito mode and searched the same flight again. Without cookies or saved data, the price appeared lower, clearer, stripped of the manipulative bundles she'd been shown earlier. That discovery felt like reclaiming control. She realized that loyalty programs, age-based discounts, and travel perks often reward algorithms more than travelers. For seniors like Theo, every dollar saved is dignity. It represents not stinginess, but stewardship, the desire to make memories without fear of financial surprises. Yet the modern travel industry thrives on confusion, fragmented pricing, timed offers, emotional triggers designed to make you rush instead of review. Theo's rule became simple: never trust the first total you see. She now requests a written breakdown of all charges before finalizing a booking, taxes, service fees, baggage, and seat upgrades included. She prints the fare summary and highlights the faint gray text where exclusions hide. That vigilance doesn't kill spontaneity, it preserves it. Because nothing ruins the joy of travel like realizing your discount trip is quietly bleeding your budget. Always demand transparency. Ask for the all-in cost, compare the route on at least 2 platforms, one in incognito, clear cookies or try another device, and ask the agent to confirm any senior discounts in writing. If a deal sounds polished, check the fine print. Have you ever found a deal that turned out pricier? Type yes or no. She thought that was the worst of it, but once on board her cruise, the real surprises began. A tiny habit change, pausing to read the full price and asking one clear question, saved her dozens on the next booking and bought peace. 2. The cruise package illusion. Her ship's brochure promised complimentary spa credit and free shore excursion. By day 3, Theo had spent more than her cabin cost, all on things labeled free. It began with an elegant envelope at embarkation, glossy vouchers, a warm welcome, and language that felt generous. A complimentary massage. A no-cost island tour. A welcome cocktail on the house. For someone who had put off travel for decades, the words felt like permission to relax. But every promise contained a condition. When Theo tried to use her free spa credit, the therapist explained an automatic service fee applied to every treatment. The so-called complimentary shore excursion required an extra transfer fee and a port handling surcharge. The welcome cocktail did not cover the captain's dinner service charge. Small lines on the daily statement bore faint notes. Gratuities suggested, redeemable with minimum spend, not valid on special event nights, phrases that quietly shifted costs from the company ledger to her account. For her generation, a printed promise was more than marketing, it was a commitment. Discovering those catches felt like a betrayal disguised as courtesy. Theo felt the loss in a personal way, not just currency leaving her account, but a fracture in trust. The emotional cost mattered because money buys different things at 72. Medical peace, gifts for grandchildren, confidence to say yes to plans. When free items eroded that security, the sting was deeper than arithmetic. Cruise operators design packages that advertise abundance while relying on layered conditions to reclaim value. Complimentary credits can have blackout dates, activation fees, or minimum spend thresholds. Beverage and dining packages sometimes exclude tax and service charges, and shore excursions sold as included can hide mandatory transportation or docking fees. Add-ons multiply: Wi-Fi passes, photography bundles, specialty dining cover charges, and mandatory daily gratuities quietly accumulate. Theo changed course mid-voyage. She began to document everything, writing down each posted charge and photographing receipts. She asked the purser to show where each voucher would appear on her running statement. When staff replied that a credit was complicated, she treated that as a red flag and asked for specifics. That approach often prompted clearer answers and occasional goodwill adjustments. Practical, dignified actions seniors can use: request a single emailed line-by-line breakdown of all included credits, taxes, port fees and redemption rules before you pay a deposit. Set daily spending alerts on your onboard account. Use a card with dispute protection or preload a travel debit card for discretionary purchases, and keep a tiny paper ledger in your purse to track microcharges. When a voucher forces an extra purchase, calmly ask the purser to convert the credit to an alternative amenity or cash value. Agents often have discretion to help guests who document confusion. Practice a one-line script with companions. Please show me where this credit posts on my account. It is precise, non-confrontational, and effective. Theo later formed a small clarity group with other seniors aboard, trading notes and receipts at the buffet so everyone could spot hidden fees early. What began as a petty sting turned into a communal safety net, shared knowledge that preserved both budgets and dignity. Have you ever been surprised by a cruise charge? Drop the cruise line name. Back home, Theo opened her mailbox, and another letter made her heart sink. It wasn't a postcard or a loyalty offer. It was a notice from her travel insurance provider, neatly folded, official-looking, with language so polite it almost hid the blow. The policy she'd relied on for peace of mind had quietly expired 2 days before her cruise ended, meaning half her trip went uncovered. She sat at her kitchen table, the paper trembling slightly in her hands, realizing that while she'd been tracking spa credits and service fees, a much bigger financial storm had been forming behind the scenes. And this one, she couldn't simply dispute at the purser's desk. 3. The late insurance lesson. Theo thought she was safe because she'd bought travel insurance, the kind that promised peace of mind for every journey. She ticked the box, paid the premium, and stored the policy in her travel folder with quiet satisfaction. But safety, she would learn, has an invisible clock. Because she purchased her plan 3 weeks after paying her trip deposit, her mild hypertension, a small, stable condition managed for years, became a loophole that erased her protection entirely. It didn't hit until the final night of her cruise. A cough turned sharp, her chest tight. Nothing alarming, just something she wanted checked before flying home. The ship's medic recommended a clinic near the port. Theo went, received a quick exam, a mild prescription, and advice to rest. Total visit time, 20 minutes. Cost, $2,300. When she submitted the claim weeks later, a sterile email returned, denied. Pre-existing condition exclusion applies. She reread it twice, heart pounding, realizing the system she trusted had quietly shifted the rules. For seniors who've spent a lifetime honoring deadlines and paperwork, that denial cuts deep. It's not just money, it's dignity. Theo had done what she thought was responsible, yet the policy's timing window turned her precaution into a false sense of security. The 14 to 21 day rule, barely mentioned in the marketing, had locked her out of coverage she thought she owned. Behind every glossy brochure promising full protection lies a critical truth. Travel insurance only covers pre-existing conditions if purchased soon after the first payment. Miss that window, and anything tied to your medical history becomes foreseeable. The language is cold, but the impact is deeply human. It tells seniors their bodies, though strong and capable, are liabilities unless perfectly timed to policy calendars. Theo's frustration grew into determination. She spent nights researching, calling brokers, and reading through insurance PDFs like novels. She learned that each insurer defines pre-existing differently, and that waivers are not automatic. They must be explicitly added, requested, and documented. She also learned that asking questions in writing created leverage. When you can quote their email later, you hold evidence. Her practical wisdom became this: always purchase coverage the same week you book your trip, even if your plans change later. Confirm in writing that your pre-existing conditions are waived, and ask for a sample copy of the full policy before payment. If the company hesitates to send it, move on. Keep your doctor's note, your prescription list, and your booking receipt together in one folder. That small act of organization can turn chaos into control when you're far from home. Theo shared her lesson with friends at her local community center. One woman admitted she'd never even heard of the 21-day rule. Another confessed she skipped insurance altogether, assuming Medicare would handle emergencies abroad. Theo gently explained it doesn't, not outside the US. The room fell silent, that kind of quiet where realization feels like warning and gratitude at once. Travel insurance isn't just paperwork. It's a safety net woven from awareness, timing, and self-respect. It protects not just your wallet, but your independence, the right to explore without fear that one clinic visit could unravel decades of saving. Do you get travel insurance right away or wait till later? Tell us below. Your answer might save someone else's next trip. After that scare, Theo swore to plan smarter, but her loyalty to one travel site cost her again. 4. The loyalty program oversight. Theo thought she'd mastered the art of frugal travel. After her insurance lesson, she built spreadsheets, saved receipts, and tracked every point she earned. So when it came time to book her next flight, a long-awaited trip to visit her granddaughter in Seattle, she chose her favorite travel aggregator. It looked efficient, organized, and even offered a price match guarantee. She assumed her senior discount and loyalty miles from past flights would automatically apply. After all, the site had her details saved. They didn't. When she checked her confirmation email, the total looked higher than expected. The airline's logo was there, but something was missing: her frequent flyer number. A quick call to the carrier confirmed the problem. Because she'd booked through a third-party site, her fare wasn't eligible for senior savings or mileage accumulation. Worse still, any future upgrades or seat selections would have to go directly through the aggregator, at an added service fee. That simple booking had cost her not only 15% in missed discounts but also the loyalty miles she'd been collecting for years. For Theo, it wasn't just about the money. It was about being invisible in a system she thought recognized her. Seniors often rely on trust. If a platform feels official, it must be connected. But in travel, that assumption can quietly erase benefits earned over a lifetime. Loyalty programs aren't built for convenience, they are built for control. And third-party platforms, even the most reputable ones, sit outside that control. She realized that modern travel had turned into a labyrinth of links and logins, each one promising simplicity while hiding tiny clauses that decide who gets rewarded and who doesn't. The emotional toll of discovering that her loyalty, once valued, had been quietly stripped away was heavier than she expected. For someone raised in an era when commitment mattered, it felt almost personal. The fix, she discovered, was deceptively simple but rarely practiced. Always start on the airline or hotel's direct website. Create an account, verify your senior status, and add your loyalty number before paying. Check for banners or pop-ups confirming the discount. If it doesn't appear, call customer service before completing the booking. Those extra minutes can translate into hundreds saved and miles earned that actually count. Theo began double verifying every reservation afterward. She compared aggregator prices with direct fares in separate browser tabs, often discovering that the discount wasn't a discount at all once taxes and service fees appeared. She also learned that booking directly allowed easier upgrades, better seat options, and direct customer support when delays hit. When a snowstorm later cancelled her flight, she rebooked instantly with one call to the airline, while other passengers from third-party sites waited hours in line. Her newfound wisdom became a point of pride. She even hosted a small Travel Smarter After 60 session at her library, teaching others how to navigate loyalty portals, verify senior benefits, and avoid third-party traps. Many seniors admitted they didn't realize aggregator sites can block loyalty accumulation entirely. One man joked that he'd been loyal to the wrong company, the website, not the airline. Theo's story turned into a small triumph, a reclaiming of agency in a digital travel world that often treats seniors as secondary users. Every flight she booked after that became an act of quiet rebellion, proof that she could adapt faster than the fine print could trick her. Which travel site do you trust most? Or do you always book direct? She'd plugged every leak, except the tiniest one. The one that drained her wallet silently every single day. 5. The hidden everyday costs. At first, Theo didn't even notice them. The $5 airport latte, the $3 bottle of water after security, the $2 luggage cart she grabbed without thinking. They seemed harmless, the kind of small conveniences that make travel easier. But by the end of her week-long vacation, those little indulgences had snowballed into something alarming. Almost a quarter of her total travel fund gone, vanished into receipts she couldn't even remember making. Theo's budget had been meticulous. She'd planned every hotel, every meal, every museum entry. But she hadn't planned for the invisible layer of travel, the micro-expenses that cling to every day like sand after a beach walk. Resort fees that weren't listed upfront. Taxes added after checkout. Tipping culture that quietly multiplied across meals, porters, and shuttles. A $15 data roaming charge that appeared overnight. Even the occasional airport snack splurge that felt justified after a long day. None of them broke the bank individually, but together they turned control into chaos. It wasn't just the money. It was the sense of being blindsided. For someone like Theo, organized, thoughtful, and cautious, realizing she'd been bled dry by invisible costs felt humiliating. She wasn't careless, she was human. And like so many senior travelers, she had been trained to watch for the big traps, scams, bad exchange rates, unsafe deals, while the real threat came from 1,000 tiny, ordinary decisions. The truth about travel is that it's rarely the grand purchases that derail your plans. It's the accumulation of convenience. Every just this once moment, every quick swipe of a card in an unfamiliar currency chips away at your safety net. Those moments blur together until the final tally hits, and by then, the trip is over. Theo realized she hadn't overspent because she was reckless. She'd overspent because she was optimistic. But awareness changed everything. The next time she traveled, she built a micro-budget buffer. A small, dedicated fund, just $15 a day, for whatever came her way, an unexpected taxi, a tip, a morning cappuccino with a view. Instead of guilt, she gave those moments permission. She logged each purchase in a small notebook she kept in her purse, noting the date, cost, and purpose. The result wasn't restrictive, it was freeing. Every dollar had a destination, and every treat felt intentional rather than impulsive. Theo also discovered digital tools that made her feel empowered rather than overwhelmed. Apps like Trail Wallet and Travel Spend turned budgeting into a quiet habit instead of a chore. Watching her expenses in real time became oddly satisfying, a visual reminder that she was in control of her story, not drifting through it. By the end of her next trip, she didn't feel the shock of depletion. She felt proud. Her money had gone exactly where her joy lived. The deeper lesson for her, and for so many senior travelers, wasn't about living frugally. It was about shifting from automatic to aware. She didn't want to save money for the sake of saving. She wanted to spend consciously on things that genuinely enriched her. A beautiful meal shared with locals? Worth every cent. A bottled water because she forgot her reusable one? A small but preventable leak. Over time, that awareness became part of her travel identity, calm, mindful, and quietly wise. What's your sneakiest travel expense? Comment below, someone else might learn from it. When Theo finally returned home, her lesson wasn't about loss, it was about wisdom. Theo now travels with what she calls her senior travel ledger. It's not digital or fancy, just a slim, well-loved folder tucked neatly into her carry-on. Inside it, she keeps everything that once caused her stress, all in-flight quotes printed side by side, travel insurance receipts highlighted for coverage clarity, loyalty confirmations neatly clipped by airline, and a simple daily spend tracker that fits on a single page. She built it herself, not out of paranoia, but peace. Every line, every note, every receipt represents a lesson learned through small mistakes she refused to repeat. It's astonishing how this small ritual transformed the way she travels. At the airport, she no longer fumbles through apps or digs for papers. Her itinerary is organized, her totals transparent, her confidence intact. When a gate agent mentions a fee or a missing confirmation, Theo smiles, she already has the proof. There's no panic, no confusion, just calm clarity. Even her fellow travelers notice it, that quiet assurance of someone who's not rushing against the clock but flowing with the rhythm of her own design. Her ledger became more than a binder, it became a mirror of her growth. Each section reflects a step she once stumbled on, the flight she booked too fast, the cruise perks she misunderstood, the insurance policy she purchased too late, the loyalty points she forgot to claim, and the micro-expenses that silently drained her joy. Now, they are reminders, not of failure, but of wisdom earned through experience. Every organized page whispers, you've mastered what once overwhelmed you. Theo's travels are lighter now, not because she carries less luggage, but because she carries less worry. She books trips months ahead, tracking deadlines for insurance and loyalty bonuses. She double-checks every offer that sounds too good to be true, and she no longer fears fine print. Her savings stretch further, but more importantly, her energy does. She can focus on the laughter over dinner, the sunsets from her balcony, the joy of discovering something new instead of calculating what it costs. The change radiates beyond travel. That same sense of control seeps into her daily life. Bills paid on time, small luxuries enjoyed guilt-free, decisions made with calm intention. She tells her friends it's not about budgeting, it's about breathing easier. And in that freedom, she rediscovers the excitement that made her love travel in the first place. For Theo, and for you, travel isn't about cutting corners, it's about cutting stress. It's about reclaiming your sense of freedom in a world that often treats age as a limitation. Your passport isn't just a document, it's a declaration that adventure never expires. When she shares her story with other seniors, something remarkable happens. They start their own versions of her ledger. Some use notebooks, some spreadsheets, some just simple envelopes labeled flights, meals, memories. But the outcome is the same. Awareness replaces anxiety, and planning becomes part of the pleasure. Theo's journey reminds us that wisdom isn't found in avoiding mistakes, it's found in transforming them into tools for the next adventure. Every smart traveler she inspires is proof that age doesn't narrow horizons, it expands them with clarity and courage. If this helped you, tap like right now and share it with one friend over 60 who deserves smarter, calmer travel. And subscribe to Senior Travel Adventures, because next, we're revealing the #1 airport mistake seniors make, and it's not about security lines. Stay wise, stay adventurous, and keep exploring.